Now, what I did behind the scenes, since this is not really about the styling, is I created this switch component. Now, you will find the code attached to this lecture, but I will quickly walk you through that, of course. In the template, I simply have two divs. One has the ID and one has the ID off. Both has a click listener where I simply toggle is on to true or false, depending on which switch I click. Well, and then I add a class, which is the active class, and this depends on whether is on is true or false, depending on which switch we are. And then down there I have a couple of styles, on and off, my two boxes. Basically got a width, a height, a background color, some padding. I want to display them inline block to have them sit next to each other, a negative margin to left and right to have them sit directly on each other, some box sizing, make the cursor a pointer, and center the text. And then I got this active class, which has the same effect as when I hover over a switch. Well, light green in the case of the on switch and light coral in the case of the off switch. Then I went to the app.view file where I simply imported the switch up here and added it as a local component here in the components property. That of course allows me to use it in my template there, where I inserted this row right below the select dropdown. So this is a normal Bootstrap row with the same column classes we had before, and then my custom input. Now I don't have any input related logic there, that's just the styling. It leads to this layout. We got an on and off switch here. However, I'm not able to listen to that. I'm not able to set a value. This is what we'll work on together. So let's make this component more than just some optical sugar. Let's actually turn it into a real control we can use. I want to use it here with a new component where I simply say data switch and set this to true by default. Now I want to be able to use this on my custom component I added here by adding vModel to it and binding to data switch, and this shall pass true or false or react to changes in this component. Now, as explained earlier, that means that I have to set up the value prop in my component and emit an input event. So let's work on this next. I want to set up the value prop and this input event in my switch component. So to do so, I will go to my object export here, and I will add my props, and this will be an array, and I know that I should be able to handle a value because this is what the model will give me in the end. This value shall be true or false. I could add prop validation here. I'll leave it simple like that. And then I want to use value. Now, how do I want to use value in this component here though? Well, I no longer want to use is on here. I can actually remove this. Instead here, I want to use value and set value to true or false here. And also check value here because this is my new in is on property. This will be true or false passed from outside, but now also changeable from inside. So here I'm able to use it and change it. Now, of course, I also need to submit an event. So here when clicking, setting value to true or false is not really all I need. Instead, I should use my methods object here to simply add the switch method, let's say. Or since this is a reserved name, let's use switched. So here I want to output switched and I want to pass true since this is the on case. And here I want to use switched and pass false because here I want to set it to false. So what I'll do here is I will simply emit with this emit. We learned that before, a custom event. And the event has to have the name input because that is what vModel is waiting for. And then here I can simply output, well, the value I'm passing here. I'll name it is on again, and I will pass that on. Now with this, let's go back to our main component where we use our own switch. And let's add a new paragraph here where I will say switched to output the data switch property. This data switch property again is bound to my custom component. Let's see if this works how it should. We see true here, and if I switch this to off, it changes to false. And with that, we built our own control very easily, as you see, by adding a new component, which has these two key features it has to work with vModel. It takes a prop of value and it emits an input event. All the other logic inside this component is totally up to you. This may be much more complex than just 2 divs, of course. This is up to you. The key thing is that what you get in, value, and what you output, the input event. And with that, you can use your own components as controls in your forms. Awesome.